We're inviting you to enjoy Britain's most beautiful gardens as chosen by some of our most prominent personalities. Whether they're writers, politicians or broadcasters, these luminaries are also some of the nation's greatest garden lovers, and their chosen sanctuaries hold the keys to some highly personal memories. But who is unlocking the key to their favourite garden today? We've come to the Gibberd garden in North Essex, which has been chosen by a well-known personality as their favourite garden. We'll find out why they chose it as our famous figure takes a tour of this enticing estate. Recognised as a key piece of 20th century garden design, it was the vision of Harlow Newtown's chief architect and planner, Sir Frederick Gibberd. For over 30 years, he worked tirelessly to create a horticultural work of art. And when he died in 1984, he left the garden to his local community. Since then, the gardens have been adored by thousands of visitors and by one rather famous garden designer. He's quick in both name and nature and has risen swiftly through the ranks to become the favourite face of many a viewer. Today, though, he's paying homage to the garden that helped inspire his rise to stardom.
I distinctly remember the first time I came here because I was studying garden design. I used to go around to quite a few gardens around the country by myself, a bit of a sad garden visitor. And I remember being bowled over by it. I found it incredibly exhilarating because I didn't really understand how this garden was working and what it was doing to me, but I understood that it was doing something to me. But being a garden design student, I sort of had to try and deconstruct it in a way to work out how it was put together. And this garden gave me a lot of confidence, and I realised the simplicity and how simplicity can work.
Today, Joe will be taking a nostalgic tour around the Gibberd garden and recalling some special memories. He'll meet the enthusiastic volunteers who maintain the garden, and he'll get a unique insight into the life of Sir Frederick Gibberd. He'll also get the chance to make his own contribution to the future of this garden. It will complete a circle that began over a decade ago when garden design student Joe made the short journey to Harlow from his home in Hackney.
It was a day of incredible excitement and also finding myself to a degree, finding actually what I really wanted to become a garden designer, that I really wanted to do it. And if I could make people feel the way I felt when I first came to this garden, then that would be an amazing achievement. I mean, I don't think I've done it yet.
Located on the outskirts of Harlow, Gibberd is an hour's drive from central London and just 20 minutes from Cambridge. The 7-acre gardens start with a series of compartments that open up to reveal expansive lawns, wild woodland areas, and at the bottom of the garden, a babbling brook. There's a multitude of paths, walkways and snickets connecting these different areas, so each visit provides a new and exciting journey.
You see something and you think, I've got to go and see that, but I don't want to leave that. And then you get to that space, and then there's a choice of one or two different ways to go. But it just physically pulls you through all the way around it, and you don't feel until you've seen all of it that you've covered it all, and you go away feeling really quite satisfied.
Sir Frederick's house sits at the top of the estate, with the garden stretching out below. When designing the landscapes, he strove to create a beautiful view from every window. As the garden developed, Sir Frederick and his wife began to indulge their love of sculpture. In all, there are over 80 original pieces dotted around the garden, including several by acclaimed artist Gerda Rubinstein. But towering above all these and dominating the lower part of the garden is a mighty piece of architectural salvage.
These columns are from Cootes Bank in central London. They are based on a classical Roman column, okay, but they're actually produced in the late Georgian period. And the detail at the top is a typical detail you'll see, which is the acanthus leaf, which has a very strong architectural type foliage. And it's interesting that his sense of humour comes through here because he's underplanted it with Acanthus spinosus, exactly the same leaf. And the combination of the two just looked fantastic. But the scale of this is just incredible. It just draws you through, and when you turn that corner, it's like, wow, you know, this is serious scale. It's fantastic.
The garden is host to numerous surprising and playful features, such as the concrete castle that Gibberd built for his grandchildren, and the swing that hangs from an ancient oak. Even the construction of the garden was approached with a sense of fun.
This used to be just a little brook, you know, coming through here, but he decided to sort of dam it up to create an area of still water behind, a large area of still water. So he got a load of old fridges, filled them up with concrete, and they create the dam. The interesting thing about Sir Frederick was he was an architect. You know, and an architect can confidently approach something like this, whereas the garden designer might be quite scared of it to a degree.
The architecture and layout may dominate the design of the garden, but there are plenty of wonderful plants here too. Jane Quinton is one of Gibberd's volunteer gardeners, and along with her colleagues, she helps preserve Sir Frederick's picturesque plant life.
Jane, there's 7 acres of garden here. So who looks after them all?
Well, we have quite a small army of gardeners, but most of them are volunteers. Most of the mowing and the hedge clipping is, I must say, done by one of our gardeners, Brian. He doesn't use any mechanical tools at all, does it all with the shears by hand.
Why does he do that?
Because he thinks he gets a better result.
Right, okay.
And he does all the shapes, as you can see, in some of the areas of the garden there are quite formal shaped hedges. There's the round ones like a Christmas pudding, and there's these.
Well, these are fantastic, aren't they?
Yes, we call it the tapestry hedge. There's 3 different plantings. There's the golden privet, there's the beech, and there's yew. And they are in stripes.
Yeah.
They're regular stripes. And apparently when it was first planted, they actually, when they were cutting it, had a board down between them so that they kept their stripes.
I think this is a really nice idea. You know, a lot of people could take this home, you know, this concept, and do it in their own garden very easily. I mean, one thing that you don't want to do is prune them too late in the year, like sort of from late August on, because then they start putting on, especially the privet, will put on some quite soft growth, get hit by the frost, and it'll all go brown. But these are really good selection of plants, because you've got the vibrant, fresh growth in the spring. You know, you've got the permanence of the yew. And the beech must go an amazing colour in the autumn as well.
It is. The colour in the autumn is wonderful. It really is.
The Gibberd garden is full of contrasting styles. Whilst more formal planting surrounds the house, the bottom of the garden is left to grow wild, and it's here that you'll find some rather fearsome flora.
But this is a beast of a plant.
It certainly is. It's giant hogweed.
Okay.
And it's beautiful to look at. Architecturally, it's fantastic, and it's beautiful in the winter when everything else dies down and it's still standing there just as high in the sunlight. And if there's frost on it, it just looks beautiful.
It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. But there's a big but coming up.
There's a big but, and that is that the sap is quite a severe irritant. So you have to be very careful not to break the stalks.
That's right, it's a major, it can burn, I mean, it can scar your skin. I'm quite surprised that, you know, in a garden open to the public, that, you know, you're allowed to let it run wild. I mean, did Sir Frederick Gibberd love this plant?
Well, we don't actually know if he introduced it, but he certainly didn't get rid of it. And you can see why.
Few other public gardens would allow giant hogweed to run wild, but the Gibberd garden's unconventional approach is part of its charm.
When I was a kid, as far as I'm concerned, gardening was just related to having fun. You know, being outdoors, helping my grandparents do a bit of this, bit of that, bit of digging, bit of, you know, picking up the leaves. It wasn't a serious business at all. And then after that, I decided that I was going to go into it. I started landscaping, working around London as a gardener. And although I've always loved gardening, you know, at that time it sort of became like a daily slog. You know, quite hard work getting up every morning, you know, long winters and stuff like that. And I couldn't quite work out why I was doing it. So when I came back here, I was suddenly reinvigorated. That sense of fun and energy was put back into it. I suddenly realised what it was all about, and I felt a lot more relaxed about my approach to gardening.
The Gibberd garden has played a big role in Joe's career, so it's only fitting that he should want to give something back. 2 years ago, Gibberd lost one of its finest walnut trees. Walnuts rely on well-drained soil, and flooding at the bottom of the garden caused terminal damage to the roots. Joe has brought along the perfect replacement.
I'm really excited today. This is a big day for me because I've been invited to bring something to the garden that I can put in. So I've chosen this. This is a Juglans regia, which is a walnut tree. It's a beautiful tree. It's got this wonderful foliage, which will dangle down as it becomes more mature. And also I really like the colour of the bark. It's this sort of lovely silvery colour, and that becomes more and more gnarled and sort of pitted over time. And it's even got, look at that, some fruit. It's got a walnut on it. Okay, it's only a little one, but as it matures, it's going to be covered in fruit. So I'll be able to come back here and get some of my own walnuts, hopefully.
Joe will be planting his walnut tree in a prominent position on the eastern boundary, and it will be his chance to make a mark on the garden he loves.
This is my favourite because it's just so exciting. It's a real garden to walk through and just to enjoy as much as possible. I could just keep coming back here again and again.
We're in Harlow in Essex, where TV gardener Joe Swift has chosen glorious Gibberd as his favourite garden.
I found it incredibly exhilarating because I didn't really understand how this garden was working and what it was doing to me, but I understood that it was doing something to me.
We've taken a magical mystery tour of the Gibberd garden and admired its playful features. And we've seen the gift that Joe will be planting in this Harlow haven.
So I'll be able to come back here and get some of my own walnuts, hopefully.
Joe was just a fledgling designer when he made his first inspirational visits to the Gibberd garden. And over 15 years later, as a father of two, he's gained a renewed appreciation for Sir Frederick's design.
My kids are 9 and 7, Stanley and Connie, and when my son was about 3 or 4, I thought, oh yeah, let's go back to the Gibberd garden. That's brilliant. The first time I went there, I felt like a kid running around. There's so much to see, and also what I like about this garden is they're not too precious. It's somewhere you can bring kids and not say, keep off the flower beds, or don't keep off the lawn, keep to the path, all that sort of stuff. Here it's just, run anywhere you want, discover the whole thing. And also, this castle is just fantastic. Sort of fully grown men, pensionable age, coming up onto this castle, and they've all got to get to the top of this castle. They've got to come across the drawbridge, up the concrete steps, and then everyone's got to put the flag up and down. It's just sort of completely instinctive. I don't think age has got anything to do with it. I think the older the better, in fact. My daughter loves swings of any size, but my daughter has to wait her turn because you can't get the oldies off it. I mean, look at him. He's absolutely brilliant. He put his walking stick down, and now he's having a good old swing on it. I'm not sure if this garden is going to have sort of as profound an effect on my kids as it has on me. It'd be nice to think that they could come and they could bring their kids, to go onto the castle and cross the moat and swing on that swing. Because this is, in a way, it feels a bit like my second garden.
When Sir Frederick Gibberd died, a trust was formed to ensure his garden could be enjoyed by future generations. One of the key trustees is Ken Collins, and he has a unique insight into the man behind this garden.
He used to open the garden for charities every year, about 3 or 4 times. And I was on one of those charities. I spent most of my time in the car park, as it happened, but one always knew that Sir Frederick was about because he smoked a pipe almost incessantly, and you just followed the smoke clouds and you knew where he was.
Well, it's interesting, Ken, that there is a master plan of the whole site. Do you think this was drawn at the beginning and implemented? Because it feels much more of an organic garden to me. It's something that's evolved over time.
I don't think there was an overall plan, to be frank. He always said that people should go and find the garden for themselves, discover it for yourself, he'd say. The idea was that you would, you know, go round a corner and there was another bit of garden there that you hadn't expected to find. And in fact, I actually found a piece of garden last week which I hadn't seen before, and I've been coming here for several years now.
At almost every turn, the Gibberd garden offers something to surprise or delight, and Sir Frederick's wry sense of humour is evident throughout, not least in this dry but Victorian austerity.
Is this Sir Frederick having a bit of a laugh with everybody here?
I think so, yeah. I mean, she was a lady who was celebrated for this wonderful remark, "We are not amused," but to stick her here and then put this background of bottle bottoms round behind, stuck in, of course, his favourite concrete. He was the president of the British Concrete Society, and I felt he was doing his bit to advertise the material.
Yeah. Have you been cleaning her up, Ken?
I do clean up sculptures, and I have cleaned up one particular lady in the garden. Do I dare talk about her?
Go on, tell us about her.
Well, she's Lucinda, and she was by Gerda Rubinstein, and it was her niece who posed like this. And was getting a little bit dirty, and I did say to Lady Gibberd one day, "I do think poor old Lucinda needs a bit of a wash." And she said, "Oh, that's all right. Take a soft sponge and warm water and soap and you can clean her down." Which I did. I did take a chaperone with me as well.
You weren't left by yourself?
No, of course not.
How many sculptures are there in the garden?
Well, there are over 80.
Are there, really?
It's an incredible number, because you are not aware of the fact that it doesn't look crowded.
No.
Whereas I've seen other places where, you know, it seems to me that you're tripping over them. You don't trip over them here, you discover them.
If you'd like to discover Gibberd for yourself, it can be really easily reached by car, with both the M11 and M25 just a few miles down the road. Harlow also has a commuter-friendly train station with regular services to London and Cambridge. The gardens are open from April to September on Wednesdays and weekends between 2 and 6 p.m. There's a small admission charge which goes to upkeep, and if you're in the area you should also visit Beth Chatto Gardens near Colchester and Hyde Hall near Chelmsford. The Gibberd garden has influenced Joe's career and provided the perfect playground for his kids. But there's one spot in particular that has provided a much-needed oasis of calm.
The word paradise actually comes from walled enclosure. It's an Arab term for walled enclosure, paradisa, and this is a walled enclosure, and it could be someone's paradise. And even though the garden might have loads of other visitors here, if you come and sit here, they sort of look around and then they walk off again, to be honest. So it almost feels like your own private space. It's got all the critical elements that you need to make a garden here. It's got the paving, it's got the seating area, it's got water, which is beautifully used here. We've got the sculptural element of the pots and the wonderful sculpture here too. And then we've got just some simple planting, some nice evergreen shrubs, and this wonderful Acer palmatum, this mature maple, which is going to turn a fabulous colour in the autumn and gives a lovely dapple shade beneath it. Well, the water feature, to me, it's sort of like a Heath Robinson design, you know, just someone sort of made it out of copper pipes. But I just love it. I cannot work out how the thing spins, look, like that, and then it stops. And then, you know, a few seconds later, it starts spinning again. But it's just been doing that ever since I've been coming here. I thought there was something wrong with it, but that's exactly the intention behind it. It's brilliant. This sort of space has a real relevance today. People trying to find a calming place. I just feel so calm and so relaxed here. I mean, I could sit here all day. It's somewhere to empty the mind. There's just the sound of the water. There's lots of green here and just a few elements to look at. So your eye just gets led around here, and I find it incredibly relaxing.
Like many others, Joe has been touched by Sir Frederick Gibberd's garden, and today it's his turn to make a lasting impression. With the aid of volunteer gardener Jackie Philpott, he's ready to plant his very own walnut tree.
So what's your approach to tree planting here? Because, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can plant trees, and there's no right or wrong about it, really.
No, well, we try not to have to mollycoddle them too much. So we don't tend to put compost around the roots or anything like that. We just make sure the soil's broken up well and give them a good water if necessary.
But, I mean, that's interesting, because a lot of people say, yeah, if you sort of treat them relatively sort of mean to start with, you know, they have to develop a really strong root system to cope. They're quite shallow-rooted plants, I know that, so, you know, its roots are going to stay relatively close to the surface, so careful when you're mowing around it.
I will, Joe, don't worry.
Okay. I mean, the most critical thing is the depth of the planting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So let's get it...
There's a bit of soil covering this bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can see sort of the line where it's been growing in the field, and we don't want to come too high on that either. Maybe just cover these roots slightly.
Uh-huh.
I think that should do it. And then we'll just put all the soil back in around it. Yeah, I don't want to compact it too much. Right, and that's about it. Let's have a look at that. Is it nice and straight?
That's good.
It's not bad, is it?
It's
not bad.
lovely.
Now you're going to stake that. And I tell you what, I can see it there already.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be
Got a beautiful
huge.
space. I'm going to come back for some walnuts.
Please do.
I will do.
Planting the walnut is Joe's token of appreciation to the garden that has given him so much.
It's hard to put it into words because it's just only a fantastic garden can do that, can have that effect on you. And it's only one in 100. You know, some you walk into and you say, oh yeah, that's lovely, nice bit there, nice bit there, nice bit there, but it doesn't have that effect on you. That effect that just makes you quite breathless.